Alright, what's going on guys? It's Almond. Welcome back to another Wizard101 video. In today's video, I want to talk about Wallaru, right? Now that I've quested all the way through, I've been posting out a lot of content regarding it. And there's been some talk within the community regarding the whole of Wallaru, whether it be storyline, whether it be the bosses and everything like that. But everyone has been saying that Wallaru is easy. It's too easy, you can one round everything, etc. And I want to give you guys my opinion on it, right? Avid player of Wiz, you guys already know this, so you guys can trust my opinion on this to a certain extent. But like I said, it's my own opinion and regarding this whole thing. So we'll talk all about that, and you know, I want to see your guys' opinions as well in the comments below if you have quested through Wallaru, so keep that in mind. Of course, the final boss and like the final area or whatever it may be is not out yet. At the moment, the cap that you can get to is, of course, the level cap is 170, but if you have a hyper elixir, you get to like 169, and if you don't, you get to like level 168. So to me, it just doesn't make sense that there's just a boss or whatever. There's definitely like some big thing that's gonna happen at the end of Wallaru, so time will tell, because 2 levels is drastic XP, so there has to be a lot of areas still left or something. But let's talk about if Wallaru is too easy. In my opinion, yeah, Wallaru is like very easy compared to like Novus. If we're looking back at like Novus, for example, when we compare the speedrun with that I did with Ferric, you can easily solo some of these bosses in Wallaru like nothing, right? And when it comes to like Scald Incendiate, we were able to Scald Incendiate every single fight in Wallaru. There was only one fight where we weren't able to Scald Incendiate round 1, but we still killed round 2. And that was maybe just trial and error type thing, due to the fact that there was the Pierce aura that players were talking about, and we just killed it round 2. But beyond that, everything was a 1 round. Even the boss fights, which I don't mind, me personally, right? I know people are gonna argue, well, maybe, you know, I want to have like a challenge or something like that. I feel like they should save that stuff for challenge mode, right? I kind of enjoy just quickly going through it and then farming up all the gear I need to and recording all the content I need to. As a content creator, it's perfect, right? I know players are like, well, no, I don't want to go farm stuff, whatever. I want to take my time, I want it to be challenging, stuff like that. And I get that, right? Maybe you wanted to, you know, we're like level 170 now, like, which is pretty high up. People want to see some challenging. But the issue is, we're gonna get some players who are gonna say, go improve the bosses and make everything harder, whatever. And then we might have situations where players are like, oh, well, it's too hard. Oh, it's too annoying. I have to quest all my like 20 characters or something like that through Wallaru, and I'm just dreading it. And then you know, that's going to be another issue, and players are going to be like, oh, I regret it, is that, you know, maybe I didn't want to see Wallaru become harder. And then, you know, we're going to get into this iffy topic, well, nerf the bosses, nerf this, nerf that. And obviously, judging by what happened with the whole Hunthound situation and look how long it took and stuff like that, I know players are going to argue, well, it was bugged, this, that. But even then, right, it still took so long. So even then, I'm still gonna say, hey, if they do change Wallaru and make it a little bit more difficult, I'd say target the bosses, right? I know players wanted to see the mob fights be longer or whatever and make them 2 rounds instead of 1 rounds, but like, let's be realistic here, right? The mobs are not going to drop anything. I feel like the bosses, if they're going to drop stuff, of course, increase the cheats a little bit. Instead of having them do cheats on round 2, do it on round 1, right? Because when I did all these fights, some of these activated cheats, but they just didn't work, or they just didn't do anything due to the fact that like we're just killing them round 1. So for a solo player, of course, it's going to be a little bit different experience in that regard, because if you're on your team, you can just Scald Incendiate. And that's just, you know, I enjoy it, I love it. I don't think they should nerf Incendiate. I know some players are saying, yo, just nerf Incendiate, that's the issue. Don't nerf Incendiate. I think Incendiate, it's fine. It's not in the advanced combat, it's not in PvP. Touch my Incendiate. But nah, I don't think Incendiate needs to be changed. I don't want to wake up one day and see Incendiate be a 1.25 multiplier or something. Let this be, leave it be. You only get 1 copy. Leave it alone. But yeah, if we're talking for bosses, because at the moment we don't know what drops what, right? Because there is no drops implemented in Wallaru, so we don't know who's going to drop what. And I know players are like, well, depending on what the boss drops, the cheats should be in like a little bit harder. And I do agree in that regard. If you're going to make some of these bosses drop gear, like the specific gear that's literally made for Wallaru, like the dream gear, definitely make those bosses just a tad bit harder, right? If instead of making 1 round, making like 2 or 3 round, right? I know for me it's gonna be annoying because I'm like, hey, I want to quickly cover all the gear, I want to upload all these videos, whatever. That's why I can do those in test realm, but in live realm it's gonna take a little bit of time making like the min-max setups, and whatever, because hey, we're still waiting on the gear to see what it looks like permanently, because at the moment it is just Aeon gear, but down the line we will see what the actual stats are and go based upon there. So and then on top of that, I think some of the mobs are just casting 1 or 2 pip spells. That definitely needs to be changed. I think some of these mobs definitely need shads. I think it's fine. Let them have access to like 1 round shads or something like that, or be able to get shad pips pretty easily. I think that would be pretty interesting to see. Or just even then, like just definitely changing up these decks of some of these mobs would be interesting. I wouldn't want to see like unique or legacy cards, you can say. I don't want to see a mob with a -90 Ifrit, nothing like that. But I do like to see some changes in that regard. But still, even then, players are still gonna just 1 round it with Skull Incendiate. Players are gonna 1 round it with just Mass Feint or something like that, or not even with Incendiate, just in team fights, of course, right? But solo players are eventually gonna complain down the line. Where I'm like, oh well, I always need players in this. It's it's gonna be annoying. But I think it's too early to tell, right? We haven't seen what the final area is. We are expecting a challenge mode somewhere in Wallaru. At the moment, I can't find it. I don't think it exists at the moment, but there's supposed to be a challenge mode somewhere. And players are speculating it's going to be the final boss. So challenge mode, of course, is going to increase the drop rate of gear, but depends on what gear is going to be dropped from there. Is all the gear going to be dropped from there? Is only specific pieces going to be dropped from there? It's a lot of questions at the moment, but that's just because we have to wait for the spoiler wall to be lifted. We have to wait for some bugs to be fixed, and from there, yeah. But the drops apparently might not be implemented till the end of test room, or even not even until the end of test room. They're still working on the drops, which kind of sucks because we have to kind of like wait to see what drops from where. At the moment, yeah, we can figure out all these cheats for half these bosses, but at the same time, it is test realm. These bosses can get revamped, they can be changed, they can be adjusted, so you got to keep all that in mind. Of course, it might be easy now, who knows, if they do revamp some of these fights, make them a little bit harder, definitely that can be feasible. I definitely would like to give my opinion on some of these bosses as well, and I'm probably gonna go back and test some of these bosses, right, and see what players are experiencing as a solo player. Definitely, if I have time next week, I'm probably gonna redo Wallaru on a solo character and just quest through and just see what the experience is like and give like a solo review, because mainly the complaints are from solo players. And I know some team play, but I mean, it's expected when you do Skull Incendiate. It would be nice to see some bosses where you just can't Skull Incendiate, right? Or just have like a dot cheat or some type of revival. But it's like, how far do you go? Are you just always going to counter fire? Are you always going to counter the dots for fire? I mean, yeah, there's other schools who use dots, but I mean, Skull Incendiate is literally the whole point of Skull Incendiate is what's called the item, the card, and then the item card Incendiate. So I'll be honest, I think it's fine. At the end of the day, I think Wallaru is fine. I don't think they should completely adjust it, but they definitely should adjust some of these bosses 100%. I think mob fights, obviously, revamp the decks that they have, definitely let them have access to shads, stuff like that. But I enjoy having a fast-paced world because it lets me be able to go farm the needs, the stuff I need, right, and the content I can make. But that's just a content creator perspective. I know everyone's gonna have their own opinion regarding that, but hey, that's just my opinion, right? I want to go hurry up and go farm the gear. I want to go make all these min-max setups and then record other content down the line. So that is it from me, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know if your guys' opinion on Wallaru. Do you think it's really too easy? Do you want to see some changes on some of these bosses? Do you want to see some of their stats, maybe higher health, lower res, higher resist, something like that? Give them more peers, give them a better deck, stuff like that. But it would be interesting to see what they do, if they do adjust some of this stuff. But hopefully we don't get complaints later down the line where people are like, well, now this is way too hard, right? Because I can see that happening if they do change some of this stuff. So that is it. Like I said, hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.